let's figure out what kind of decision maker are you. First of all, a really important factor in decision making, and I wish that more people realize this, are your filters. And the filters of the people in your group. Anybody like to share with me? Do they know what filters are? Anybody like to? Yes, the lady.
Based on your past experiences, your knowledge, it drives your perception and what you filter in.
Beautiful. High five. Okay, virtual high five, right? She's looking at me, why is he doing that? So, filters. What are your filters and what are your group's filters? How are you looking at things? These three geniuses back there, okay, they may not always agree because even though they've got the same 10 facts in front of them and they're thinking logically, they may not see the same facts the same way. They have different filters. What are the different kinds of filters? The lady in the back mentioned a few. Can you think of some things that affect your view of the world and the facts? And I'd like you to, as people come up with ideas, consider jotting them down, because I think this is one of the most important things for us to understand. To understand other people's filters so you can influence them better and understand how they perceive things, and understand your filters as well. I'm sorry, go ahead. Prejudices, prejudgments, gender prejudge, racial prejudgment. So jot that down. Any other ideas? Yes, sir.
We tend to accept data that supports our own views, and we reject data that does not support our views.
In a word, what would you say? Selective. Yes, selective. Very good. And anything else? Yeah. Value system. Yeah, value systems very much connect with cultures too, not just ethnic cultures, but corporate cultures. Yeah.
Personal agenda.
Oh, come on.
I
can't believe that, right? Your personal agenda, and there's no such thing as organizational silos, right? You don't have that, right? So there's organization. Yes, sir.
Like traditions or past precedents?
Yes, precedents. There's legal precedents, but just past experience. Okay, and one of the examples I use is, what if this gentleman here, is a relatively nice guy, I think. Some people would say, right? Before he came to this session this morning, he looked at his lottery ticket, and he'd won $300 million. And he still showed up, right? But he's not hearing anything, right? He's really thinking about that. So past experience, recent experience, which is this $300 million, or past experience with an individual or with a group or with a company, right? Thank you. Yes, sir.
Also your cultural, like your upbringing and
your
physical background have
Yeah.
a lot of filters that are
Yeah.
already in your notion that you don't even realize
Yes.
that you have. It's as you grow older and more experiences come to you, those filters kind of slightly go away or get more
Or
tuned.
at least, you know what, I'm not sure. Sometimes they just don't go away, but sometimes you just have to be aware of them. Religion, ethnic, origin, all those things. And I know you had something. Go ahead.
Age groups.
You want to step outside, man? Is that the gray hair again? Is that what you're thinking? No, right. You know what? Age makes a difference. One of the keynotes I did was in the United States was how to get along with different age groups, different ethnic backgrounds. And there is actually different value systems that different age groups have, and that's worth, it's not being prejudiced, but, if somebody is I think they call them matures, if somebody is like 80, not me, all right? Somebody's 80, they've lived through the Great Depression, they've lived through some world wars. They have different set of beliefs and values. Just a couple more before we have a break. Yes, sir.
I'm thinking like health.
Yes, health makes a difference, right? And again,
It's like personal agenda maybe because I'm not feeling well.
you're not feeling well, you feel a little poorly, it affects how you perceive things. And there's a gentleman back there.
I think also depends on our prejudgment in some way of the sources. Some sources we accept as authoritative
Yes. Wonderful points. And we're covering a lot of the topics that I can take a little bit less time on later. Groupthink. Anybody know what groupthink is? Jot that down. Groupthink and, and what this gentleman said, filters and your sources. Groupthink is where, do you know what groupthink is?
No, it's okay.
Oh, so groupthink is where a family is a group, or there's a group in your corporate environment, and it's not so much using logic to make the right decision. You're making a decision because, as this gentleman said, the source of the other people's ideas. You're more interested in making sure that you preserve the relationship with these people than making the right decision. Just a couple more, yeah?
What about outcomes or conclusions? Where you know the decisions you're going to make, and you understand that what the consequences are?
Consequences affect, your decision. So, the higher the risk, the more likely, it's going to affect how you make judgments. And that has to do with risk appetite. A lot of good participation here. No, I just want to give a couple more. Yes, sir.
Fear of change can act as a major.
Really? Occasionally, right? Yeah, often, yeah. Now, I'm a big fan of change, but not everybody is. And it also relates, again, to, it doesn't necessarily relate to intelligence. There's a gentleman that our family knows who's a PhD in nuclear physics, worked for Hydro. And what he was proudest of when he retired, he says, Harry, I was really, really proud that I sat in the same desk, in the same office for 25 years. Oh. Yes, sir. Just a minute. Everybody listen, because it's one of the geniuses back there. Okay. Risk tolerance, yeah. Risk appetite. I jumped out of planes with parachutes, all right? So I'm a big fan. Yes, sir.
I think mass media.
Mass media will affect you, yeah, exactly. So I've got a list of some of the things that you might want to jot down, and then we'll have a quick break. Very, very important when you're making a decision.
Question, I think.
No, I was gonna.
Oh, let's add to it. Into making a decision to understand how we're looking at things. What are our filters? And even more important, once you understand your filters, because we all have filters. As a gentleman over here mentioned, you're brought up a certain way, and then you don't quite lose those values and other behaviors. So it affects the way you make decisions. And similarly, how other people make decisions and what they're looking at. So you have to, if you want to communicate with people, you have to understand how they're perceiving things. And this is what I really advocate is you develop a list of filters, and you can write them on your hand and walk around, and whenever you're trying to communicate with somebody, I wonder what their filters are, right? Well, let me check it. But at least remember those filters. There's a lot of good participation here. I don't want to reduce your break time, but a couple more people. You were going to say something?
Well, I was gonna add environment, but you have it there, because I'm thinking, you were talking earlier.
Yeah.
Like group decisions versus, if you've got a lot of executives there, you might not be quite as inclined to get your view across. Where you
Good
want.
point. Environment. I hadn't thought of environment in related to if you got your boss there, you are often affected. Okay, and there was a couple of other. Yes.
Emotional state of mind, are you happy or sad or not well?
Yes, and actually there's so much to cover here, and it's just only so much I can do. There is actually, you can look this up on the internet, there's a happiness formula. Okay, and part of that happiness formula is derived from who you are, your personality. And some people are just predisposed to be kicking up their heels constantly, and other people walking around with a black cloud. Was there anybody else who's going to say something I don't? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't see it from that distance. My apologies.
No problem. I was just wondering, are your filters your gut?
That's interesting. I could see that. Sometimes they're your gut, but sometimes they're very out in the open, like your academic background. I'm not sure if that's necessarily your gut. I can see your connection to that, but it's typically, I look at filters, you can look at it as gut, but I look at it as like glasses people have on. Not everybody wears glasses, but you know, some people have cloudy glasses. They're not seeing all the facts. Some people have rose-colored glasses. They're seeing facts in a more positive light. So now we're just in the fundamentals, but they're really important. Even if we don't touch on detail in the others, these are really, really important. So